Are you struggling to move past your trauma? Discover the power of forgiveness and God's healing touch in today's video. Forgiveness and letting go. Goodness, isn't that a hard thing to do after you have been hurt? But friends, I can tell you that if you do offer forgiveness to those that have hurt you, just as I have, after experiencing domestic violence and something very traumatic back in 2010, I can tell you that it will set you free like you would not believe. And I know that's hard to understand. But in Colossians 3:13, it says, "Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you." When we have been forgiven of so much, we can offer forgiveness even if it feels like such a struggle. Friends, I promise you that I understand what it's like to think that you've forgiven that person that's hurt you, and then to realize that you're in a moment like a concert that I went to when I realized I really had not forgiven. You see, we were sitting, my family and I, my husband now, and my son, he was very little, and my mother, the four of us went to a concert. And it was by Matthew West. Shout out to him because he's an amazing Christian artist. We went to this concert series that he was doing, and his feature song was called Forgiveness. And it's a story about this woman that befriended the man who actually killed his daughter in a drunk driving accident, killed her daughter in a drunk driving accident years prior. She befriended him and knew that even though he had made a huge mistake, that wasn't who he was. It did not define him. Now, this is such a remarkable story about forgiveness and what that looks like. But I sat in that moment and dropped to the seat. It was in a pew because we were at a church for this concert. And I dropped to the pew, and thank God the music was so loud and it was going on so actively, in front of us where we were sitting, because I cried so loudly, that bawling, ugly cry that you don't want anyone else to know and see about. You guys, I was so vulnerable in that moment and cried out to God, knowing that I had not forgiven the way I needed to forgive my ex-husband. And so I can tell you that it's possible, and it's going to be messy, and it's going to be hard, and it's not going to make sense. And you're going to think, why do I have to forgive when they did something so awful? I know, I get it. But think about how much God has forgiven you, has forgiven me of what I've done, even insignificant things that we think are insignificant. But really, in the grand scheme of things, they matter a whole lot. Because what I've learned in the 41 years of my life is that the small things really add up to great big things that we need to overcome and accomplish. And that needs to refine us and sand those, those rough patches off, and to move us forward into what God has for us. The power of forgiveness is healing, and it releases you from the chains of the past hurts. You see, when we don't forgive, it is like we're in bondage and we are held back and pressed down. And that is exactly what the enemy wants from you. He wants you held down and held back, because he knows that if you are released into what God wants you to be and has for you, there's no stopping you. There is no stopping you. And I can promise you that I know that power and strength is available to you because it came to me. After all the hurt and all the pain and all the healing, and I'm still in a healing process, please understand that one thing is not going to help you overcome, but all the things gathered together that God has for you, and the healing and the people and the places and the things, those are all going to count toward your healing. And so let's focus on forgiveness and letting go. You don't have to forget. That old adage of forgive and forget is not truthful. That is not set in truth. What happens is as you heal from the trauma, whenever you are in a place of forgiveness and healing, you will recall it, but it will not allow the same emotions and feelings and hurt to come back to you. You see, that place has been mended, and the balm of healing from God above has been given in that place that your body has stored that pain in. And you again can recall it, because telling your story is so important, but it's not going to affect you the same way that it has all those years ago and up to now. And so I pray that this video has helped you and that you understand the power of forgiveness. And if you don't, reach out to me. I would love to connect with you on any social at coachbridgetlynch.com. At Coach Bridget Lynch. My website is coachbridgetlynch.com. And you can actually purchase a pre-sale of my new book, coachbridgetbooks.com. And that's a whole lot of information. I don't expect you to remember this. What I want you to remember is that you deserve to forgive and let go and break those bondage chains, because God wants to take you further and higher than you have ever been in your life. Take care.